Hi everyone, welcome to TGIF, another Friday, another episode. As AI transformation continues, there's a need for us to adopt a method to how we build applications using LLMs, and this is typically called as LLM-based application development lifecycle. It's my pleasure today to host Divya SK, who is a senior MTC technical architect, for a conversation on this very topic of prompt engineering, especially prompt flow. Divya, welcome to TGIF.
Hey Sandeep, thank you so much.
Wonderful. So quickly, prompt engineering is one of the terms we're getting to hear from our customers every single day. Yeah. So tell us more about it.
Yeah, so pretty much, you have the large language models, which is the brain encompassing the enormous amount of knowledge that it has already has the base, right? Now on top of that, when you want the LLMs to do a certain task for you, you need to give narrative to the LLM in a very prescriptive manner, in a way that it understands what is the task that is expected out of it, so that it can give you the desired outcome. So basically, prompt engineering is all about giving a very prescriptive, methodical input to the model, and then the model can actually act upon that input and then give the outcomes to you in a manner that you desire. Having said that, prompt engineering is almost coming out as a new discipline when it comes to interacting with the LLMs. Now, when you have something like that, now is there a methodical way for me to engineer these prompts? And also, let's say if I want to build an end-to-end pipeline of sorts, to actually go ahead and do my deployments. Can I, as a developer, have an environment where I can actually do all of this stuff, basically an end-to-end tooling ecosystem that I have to work on the prompt engineering and also integrate that with LLM models. So that is prompt flow for you.
Perfect. Interesting. So look at it this way, right? These models have no conscious. They don't have context. So prompting is a technique, and that's so essential going forward, right? So quickly. So you said prompt flow. Define, or rather introduce us to what is prompt flow.
Sure. So, as part of the Azure portfolio within the machine learning services, you have the machine learning studio. We have AI prompt flow, which is a tooling that you would use to basically do all your AI LLM based development, right? So, for example, let's say if I have to create a pipeline where I need to invoke an LLM model, and maybe summarize a text or do any necessary outcome. So the prompt flow actually gives you the necessary set of tooling. So let's say, for example, you can basically use these as building blocks. Graphically go ahead and design your pipelines, test your pipelines, bulk test them, and also when they are ready, you can actually point them to a deployment environment on your production, and this is how you're actually building production grade AI apps.
Perfect. So for an application developer who wishes to use LLMs, this is like the environment to build those stuff. Wonderful. I think you got to show for us to believe it, so let's do a quick demo right away. Sure. Perfect.
So prompt flow is in public preview right now, and a lot of documentation is also available on the Azure documentation site. So when I actually go ahead and look into our Azure Machine Learning Studio, you see an additional tab here or a feature here which talks about prompt flow. There's a certain way in which you have to actually go ahead and enable that. But post that, you'll actually see some default out of the box flows which are automatically created for you. You can get started with any of these flows and you can clone them, and you can basically create your own flows and customize it from there on, right? Now basically I have created about 3 flows here. The one that I have here is basically to evaluate the groundedness of the prompt that you're actually creating. Second one is again a chat interface, and the third one is how you can bring your own data, right? So let me go through each of this, right? And prior to actually executing or trying out any of this, you would actually need to create a runtime where your flows actually get executed. And the moment that is done, you have a very nice, wonderful, graphical interface, right? It is pretty much like drag and drop. So, you can add an LLM endpoint, you can add, additional prompts, variants of prompts are possible. And if you need to interleave any custom code in between, you can add Python. So, and for this overall flow, I can actually define my high level inputs, high level outputs, and pretty much every step that I do, I can configure what is my input for this step and what is the corresponding output, right? And the outputs get captured in certain variables,
Got it.
and you can wire in those variables in your next step. So let's say, for example, groundedness score output is the output of the previous term, right?
Right.
Now for the next bunch of
Input,
calls,
okay.
I can actually say take this score as output, and this becomes my input to the next step, and then it like continuously builds a chain, right?
Perfect. In fact, the way initially the input that you showed, see if you go to Chat GPT Playground, we give something called assistant prompt,
Yeah.
a meta prompt.
Yeah.
So I think you pretty much started with that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
And
got it.
this in this case, there are some prompts which are already pre-configured for you, and
Okay.
you can work on top of it, right?
Got it.
Now, let's say, for example, in this use case, I'm trying to evaluate. So I have a particular paragraph that's given,
Got it.
and I want to evaluate whether, given a question, is my answer predicted correctly, right?
Got it.
And now, if you actually see, I come back and say, recently we launched our, the new rocket. So I just, picked up some.
Right.
Text related to that. So
Okay.
I had a very specific question saying that, how can you steer the direction of thrust generated from the rocket?
Got it.
And this is very clearly, documented, and it is, bundled within the text saying that,
Got it.
the use of gimbal engines
Okay,
mounted
got it.
help the rocket motor to pivot, and hence changes the direction of the thrust, right?
Okay.
Now, can my model predict this? And if that is a certain outcome,
Yeah.
can I evaluate saying that, the a given answer
Right.
is actually accurate, and it is coming from the factual information that I've
Got
given
it.
as the input, right?
Got it.
So if I've actually run this program earlier,
Okay.
so this actually comes back and gives me a groundedness score,
Okay.
and it's a groundedness score of 5 on a range of 1 to 5. It gives me a score of 5 because it comes back and says that this is a text that I've actually derived from the input context that I've given.
Got it.
So this could be pretty much applied in any scenario, right? So this is a way where I can build an end-to-end workflow. Maybe when I click a run,
Okay.
each of these stages get executed independently,
Got it.
and I get to see what is the previous result and stuff like that.
Got
At each stage I can validate and parse my input and output variables, and I can chain multiple of these together, right?
Okay, perfect.
So a lot more integrations are possible here. Definitely this is a space that is continuously evolving.
Perfect.
Just one last demo on the similar lines. It's a chat interface,
Okay.
and one beautiful thing here is you also have a UI
Oh, nice.
that's there for you to actually go ahead and
Test it
try
out.
out, and
Yeah.
because this is based on a particular. So this is a scenario where I'm looking up on Wikipedia
Okay.
for a particular input that I've given,
Sure.
and then re-summarizing it
Okay.
from the context that I've got from Wikipedia, right? And in the context, in the modus of a chat. So this has actually helped me build a chat workflow here.
Got it.
So
Nice.
what we saw earlier was prompt groundedness. What we are seeing here is completion. What
Okay.
we are seeing here is chat.
Awesome. So Divya, fabulous demo. Truly helpful, and I think for any developer, there's a need for us to reimagine how we build application. In fact, the demos was an evidence in itself that we can't build application just like that. It has to be this method to that, and that's why we call it LM-based development life cycle, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think I love the fact that there is also a visual element to that, so that
Yes.
you monitor the flow and tweak it to for better performance and output.
Yep.
Thanks once again, and for all viewers, the prompt flow is a new IDE for application developers who wish to infuse LLMs in their application. With that, thanks for watching us today. Keep watching TGIF. Have a wonderful Friday. A great weekend ahead. Bye-bye. Perfect. Awesome.